Brought to you in part by Ladericorn Speaks, LLC.
Hey, welcome to KROSS BARZ, the podcast where we discuss interesting topics with alternative perspectives. I am your co-host, Big O, and I have with me...
Hey, Tanae is back in the building one more time with Miss Shareen King, the author, the CEO, the TV producer, my soror from Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Give it up for Shareen, y'all. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Hey.
I just do like something like that. I can't throw it for Rockefeller like Jay-Z, The Rock. No Jay-Z, Rockefeller.
No Jay-Z.
All right. Oh, Miss King. All right, author. Oh my goodness. So Miss King, let's first start from the beginning. All right, where are you originally from?
Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. You guys are giving me a little East Coast vibes on my West Coast place. So
okay.
And to segue right into that, I'm from New York, New York. I was born and raised in New York City. And
you're a Manhattan girl?
Yes, I'm a Manhattan girl.
Oh, hey, because I haven't met one of you. So everybody's from Harlem, and now you said Manhattan. I love that.
Yeah, I'm from Manhattan. That's where I'm from. Upper West Side. Went to school at Cathedral High School on 56th Street on the east side.
Oh, you
I grew up on the Lower East Side. Yeah, so I'm definitely a Manhattan girl for sure.
Yeah, now I'm true. Yeah, you wear those Catholic girls, outfits like, ew, get away from me. I know.
I was one. Raise hand.
Yeah. See, now I'm feeling some kind of way because I got trauma too. Yeah, like ew. I'm like, I ain't trying to talk to you.
I'm sure I was one.
They gave him the boot. They gave him the boot. He got it
hard.
Yeah, man. It's hard to turn a little bit.
Absolutely. So now you're born in Manhattan, went to Catholic school. All right. So now tell me about your upbringing, brothers, sisters, mom, dad. Tell me about that.
Well, it's such a long story. It's like,
start from again.
Where do I start from? And I get into all of this in my book too, Candy's Girl. So Candy's Girl, Candy was my mother. That was her street name, her real name. Her legal government name was Letitia. And she was born in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And came to New York and lived there, met my father on the Lower East Side, and then they had me.
Okay, all right.
I have four. So my mom had four children, and then my dad had four children. So there's a lot of us.
A lot.
And I'm in the middle because I'm the baby for my mother. She had three children before she had me. I was her last.
Okay.
She was murdered. And then my dad, for him, I was his first. So it was opposite. So on one side and the oldest.
And the oldest on the other.
Okay. So do you take on the role? What is the role that you most comfortable being, the baby or being the big sister?
It's interesting because I get I feel like I get both, and I feel like my siblings, even my younger siblings, sometimes are like they're the older sibling for me because they give me such great advice. They're always there for me. I'm the sibling that's kind of on the go constantly. I'm the one with the least settled downness, if that's a word.
We just made it. We just got it. Yes, it
worked.
You're well traveled.
Yeah, well, most of my siblings are they're married, they have kids, they live in their homes, they're settled in. And I've been the one who's been mostly on the go, just working a lot in the industry, back and forth. And like you said, well traveled. I've been and lived a lot of places throughout my career, my lifetime so far. And so um I play both roles to them. I feel like, they look at me like the big sis, but they also give me little sis
Yeah.
when I need that as well.
Yeah.
My older sister loves to come and cook for me and just kind of take care of me and
Oh,
nurture me because she loves being in that role as a big sister. And so when I get to enjoy that, it's always a blessing. But I only get to enjoy it mostly when I come to the East Coast because that's where everybody is.
come on back. Come on
Okay,
back,
wait a minute.
Shareen.
All
Come
right.
on back.
Yeah,
I know
because
they get me to come back.
yeah, because you threw a lot at us. I was like, where you from?
Yeah.
And you just said, went somewhere.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
why I was like, it's a lot in there to
it is.
unpack because it's hard for me to kind of describe my family dynamic. And both my mother and my father have now passed and are gone. So
Hmm.
all my siblings and our, where we are just a little unit within ourselves because we've lost our parents so young.
Right.
Um, so, so yeah.
My question to you is, you told us about your high school. Did you have a career or desire to do something in writing or publishing? Or what was your goal when you went to high school? Were you coming out and say, all right, I'm going to the workforce, or I want to go to college, or I have a vocation that I'm interested in? What was your aspiration?
Actually, my aspiration when I was in high school was I wanted to be a judge, which was so
Mm.
strange. That's what
No,
I
no,
No,
wanted
I
to,
that's
get
great.
it.
but I see how I could get there because a lot of my personality type is rooted in helping people and also helping people solve problems. So I can
Hmm.
see how I could find my way, that pathway to
Yeah.
being wanting to be a judge. But what discouraged me was when I discovered that you can't just be a judge, you have to be
A
appointed to the
lawyer.
position and
Yeah.
they have to vote you. And I was like, I am not the type to
Doing
rely on
all that.
else. No, to rely on somebody else to give me, to say I'm worthy enough to have this position. I was like, yeah, I'm out
Right.
the judge. No,
Yeah.
that's not for me.
You really said judges solve people problems. I was
They do.
honestly I was confused.
I said in high school. In high
Yeah,
school.
yeah. Yeah, but I was like,
That's
judges
her
solve.
thought. That's what she thought.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
what
I
I
was like,
said.
judges solve problems. Okay. They
And then
do it
after
away.
high school, so
Yeah,
while
because
you were in,
people go to court with a conflict, right? And then there's two
and they
sides of the
resolve it.
story, and the judge listens to the story
It
and
makes
decides. It makes sense.
sense.
I'm
It
making it
makes
make
sense.
sense right now.
It
Yeah,
do.
yeah, that makes sense.
Nah, but
Excellent.
that's great. So when you were in high school, wanted to be a judge, ultimately going to college. Oh, if I can go ahead and say that, you went to college. And where did you go to college? Where did you go to college?
I went to Stony Brook University, which is
Okay, upstate.
yeah, upstate. Yeah, well, not upstate. Stony Brook is on Long Island. It's
Oh,
like near
okay,
the
got it,
Oh,
got you.
Hamptons area. It's right before Montauk. So yes, it's way out there. It's like at almost
The Hamptons.
the Hamptons,
The
honey.
Hamptons, darling. The Hamptons.
We was in the Hamptons before it was the
It was the
Hamptons.
Hamptons. Yeah. They didn't get the yet. Yeah, it was at Hamptons.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I
yeah.
went
Wait
to
a
school
minute.
out
So
there.
during that time period, you went to college. Oh my God. Did you meet all those like successful like entrepreneurs, rappers, and singers that's from the area? Or you was just like, I'm just going to school and looking at
Oh,
all
no,
the
no,
people.
no. It's in the book. I'm already talking about the book because the book says everything. But go ahead.
We interviewing the author.
I understand.
Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, there were a lot of artists and musicians at the time that were out on the island that came to our school to perform or did events for our school. And that was actually my first initiation into the entertainment business because
Hmm.
I became a part of student government and student polity. And
Really?
so Yeah, so
Wow.
I was a concert promoter. I did events at my school all the time, and we would have
Mhm.
big names. We had Gregory Hines, we had Billy Joe, we
Mhm.
had leaders of the new school, we had Lauren Hill.
Yeah.
We had people come to because we had the Fugees there one time. We had all kind of artists come through our school because we were so um, convenient to the area, especially at that area at that time of the late 90s and the late 90s. Really, that's when I was in school. Um, there were a lot of artists who were in the Manhattan area because they would record at the Hit Factory and
Mhm.
what was the name of the other one? Studio something. I can't remember. It'll come to me later. And so it was easy to get artists, especially hip hop artists,
Mhm.
to come out to Long Island to perform. So yeah, that was my first introduction into entertainment, and I didn't know at the time that it would lead me on this path,
Right.
but it did because I was studying psychology when I got to school because I wanted to help people.
Yes.
Because honestly, that was, something deeply rooted in my heart, I guess, growing up.
Mhm.
I always I cared for people. I love people. I love helping people. And I guess that's what, kind of led me to the passion of like psychology and just kind of studying the mindset and, what makes people think and what they need to kind of move forward. Not knowing I would also have to use that on myself.
Absolutely.
Hey,
So,
that's something we have in common though. But you did psychology, and that's what my bachelor was in, was psychology, and then eventually you get into social work. Same thing with me. So I was reading. Oh, same thing.
that's
Yeah.
busy. Wait a
Okay.
minute. So you
I
did
wanted to know how
psychology
people.
on that?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. I'm actually like learning, and so now having having
It's
going to
good. You
school.
should always
Yeah,
be learning.
absolutely.
Always.
So going to school for psychology, but also having an active role in student government and the civic life within your university. So now, did that give you a sense of, wait a minute, I can do this for a living, or you said, you know what, this was a hobby, let me go back to what I'm really here to do, or you ventured off and said, let me keep on doing this because I enjoy it.
It was a happy accident that kind of happened because I was making those connections and contacts within the music business and within entertainment during my college years. Other doors started to open for me. I met the Brown brothers who used to run the comedy club that was in Harlem, Uptown Comedy Club.
Uptown comedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uptown Comedy Club, and they also had one of the first, I think, comedy TV shows on the Fox network. Um, I forgot. I think it was called Uptown Comedy. I think
Yeah,
if
they
I'm,
did.
yeah,
I
if
thought
I'm
that
not.
was UPN, but okay.
Yeah, might have
Yeah,
been. You
yeah,
might have been not Fox, but you might have been.
yeah.
And then I began a relationship with them because they started asking or pitching me their comedians to come out and perform at our school. Like Tracy
Mhm.
Morgan was one of their
Yeah.
comedians, and so
Mhm.
I remember booking Tracy Morgan like way back in the day before, you
He
know,
became, yeah. That's
yeah,
before Def Jam. Yeah, absolutely.
before Def Jam, and he
Yep.
used to
Wow.
come and he used to kill it, and so then it opened me into this world of booking talent and offered me jobs in those arenas. And so I kind of just kept one door led to another door, led to another door, led to another door. But I never
Mhm.
thought like, oh, this is what I'm pursuing. This is what I'm going after. Because as you see in the book, I talk about I still did my higher education. I still went on to get my master's,
Mhm.
and and that also led to the opportunity to create a master's program at my university because the vice president of our school, Fred Preston, at the time, he saw what I was doing and he was like, this is great. And there should be a way where we can mix um,
Mm-hmm.
Community and student development together. So that's how he came up with student community development. And it was like a mix of programming for the community and developing students to work in the professional world. And it became a master's program. And
Wow.
I believe there was 9 of us. There was 9 students who basically we're the founding members of the
Mm,
program, Student Community Development at Stony Brook University. Yeah.
awesome.
That's dope.
Absolutely. So
That's
have
dope.
you have did you meet Chuck D up there by any chance from Public Enemy?
I didn't meet him at Stony Brook University, but I did meet him.
Okay. No,
I did
okay,
meet
let
him
me
there.
okay, yeah. Now let me tell you why I asked that question.
Okay.
Chuck D was a college radio host, like myself at Rutgers RLC. All right, so he was a college radio host, and it was in Long Island. So I
Mm.
wasn't sure if it was Stony Brook or the community college or another college that's in Long Island, and that's where Public Enemy was formed. So that's
Mhm.
why I'm like, I thought they might have a big presence up in that area because they were from there and because civic involvement in, music entertainment. And that's where they actually originated. And they were very community based as well.
Yeah.
So that was the reasoning for the question. I just was like, hey, you met this rapper? Like, no, that was not. That was not the reason.
There were other universities on Long Island.
Yes.
There was
Long
one that,
Island, LIU. No,
yeah,
LIU was in Brooklyn, I think.
yeah, that's in Brooklyn.
That's in Brooklyn.
Hofstra University is
Hofstra.
in Long Island, and there's another one in the very beginning of the island. I can't. The name of it is slipping me, but shoot, I can't remember. But there's at least 3 universities on Long Island that I know
Okay.
of that are pretty big.
Yes.
So
And
they could have been at any one of those.
absolutely. So I understood and great. So now you're telling me you was around college when I was there. So you had the Fugees and some of the people because that's the greatest time in hip hop. So
It was
the
the greatest
emergence.
time in hip
It
hop.
was.
Absolutely, it was the
It was
greatest
the
time.
best time in hip hop, and it was the best time for building relationships with people within the entertainment community. Now, so I feel like it's those same opportunities don't really exist in that same way. Everything is so protected. But back then, everybody was free, in the sense that
Mm-hmm.
you could go to you could go to somebody's house. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And when I say somebody, I mean somebody like Method Man. You could just
yes,
he's like, "You
absolutely,
come to my house. Come over to my house real
Right.
quick." And
absolutely,
Yeah.
any of the artists that were from the 5 boroughs, it was likely that you could go to their house at any given point just to like chit chat, come up with an idea, meet them at the studio, go to a restaurant. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like it was just a lot freeing.
absolutely. And
Now
I look at yeah, I look
Mm-hmm.
at now like many artists I see they're very protected. And what I mean by that is that if they're doing something, they say, look, I want to monetize or get something out of it. Not like, oh, I want to do this because this is a good thing to do. It's no. Okay. How am I getting paid from this? And I understand it because now they're more conscious of their brand per se. But I'm like, it's not, as I like to say, it's not artistic. And I think that's where you start seeing things and be like, it doesn't feel authentic. And
Yeah,
when you start feeling, you don't feel authentic, it's like, oh, this is what made us different. Because so many of our artistic endeavors, groups, they were so grassroots and they were authentic and they came from the community. So it was like, oh, no, this is what we're doing. It wasn't
yeah,
like, hey, this is being curated, per se.
Yeah.
So now it's like,
So
okay.
yeah, and I'm thinking too, like in the college life, and you're bringing all these people in. Like, how did you not get caught up in that party scene of it all? And I mean, you continue to get your education, but if you have all those people coming and it's college, like
How you avoid all the men's?
you know what
The
I
men's
mean?
is, yeah,
So
you fine. I see
how
it.
did you not get sucked into that lifestyle of all of that, or did you? I don't
just
know.
being a party person. You mean
Yeah.
the lifestyle of just being party.
Just drinking, drugs, party, like all of that, to let that not interfere with what you were, your college.
I've always been an advocate for school and learning, like for myself. Like I just wanted to always know more and get more. So I feel like regardless of whatever, even if I stayed out late all night, I'm still gonna go to school.
Oh, okay. I hear you.
Oh, wait a minute, because it was a point in it was a point in the book. I remember it was a point in the book, and you wasn't gonna go to school, and you were in high school, and you were like, "I'm not going," and you said your dad was like, "Oh yes, you are." She was
you had a
skipping
boo. She had a boo
school.
thing. The boo. She had a boo. She had a boo situation.
No,
I
so
don't know
what
about
had
that.
happened was what had happened was I actually was in elementary school.
Elementary school, yes.
So I was in elementary school. This was after my mom had passed, and I was going to school, and my dad was going to work every day. My dad would go to work. So this is a funny story in the book I tell, that it was funny. I wasn't acting out. It was just, I thought I was grown. So my dad would go to work every single day, like 5 a.m. and he would be gone till like 4 p.m. And so time I would see him was when I was already home from school by that time, and I'd be in the house. And my school was only a few blocks away from where we lived, so I would walk to work. This was to school. This was on Lower East Side, Thompson Square Park. And so I went to Mary Helper Christians, which was on 12th Street and Avenue A, I believe. Yes, Avenue A. And we lived on Avenue B in 10th Street. It was an easy walk. So when he would leave at 5 a.m., I didn't leave to go to school till like 7:30. School started at 8 o'clock. So some days I would just get up and be like, I could stay.
Just stay at home.
And mind you, I was very young. I don't know what the heck came over me, but I just stayed home, and I stayed home for like 12 days straight in a row. I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. I'm watching TV all day. I'm just chilling. Like I didn't do anything. It wasn't like I was inviting friends over. I just stayed in the house, did whatever I wanted, watched TV shows and watched the soap operas and laughed, and I was just there. Sometimes I would go across the street to the park and play, and then I would just get home before, my dad got home. And I guess they sent a letter or they called him. I can't remember exactly how it happened. And he was like, oh, I know, this is how I originally got busted. So he wasn't feeling well at work one day, and he came home early. And I was in the house, and I heard those keys come in the door. I was like, oh my God. I was like, my daddy coming in. And so he came in and he was like, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, I don't feel well.
Play the sick role.
I straight up try to play. I was like, oh, I don't feel well. And then he had to go to the restroom. Honestly, he was like, I'm gonna be back. And when he came back, he said, put your clothes on, because I had like my pajamas on. And he said, put your clothes on and we're going to your school. And that was the longest walk to my school I had ever taken in my life. I was like, Lord, help me, Jesus, my dad.
I was about to say, you ain't getting no beat down.
Oh my God, because my dad was not one to play with. Like, if you knew Alvin King, and first of all, that's who people knew. Nobody knew my name in the neighborhood. People would just be like, that's Alvin's daughter. That's Alvin's daughter. That was my name, I felt like, for a long time, Alvin's daughter. Because nobody really knew my name. They just was like, that's Alvin's daughter. Like, don't mess around
Don't mess with her.
Yeah. And when we got to that school, they told him I was out for those 12 days. And he was like, okay. And he just gave me this look. And I cried the whole way home because I knew what was about to happen.
You earned it. You earned it. You earned it. You earned it.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I didn't do that anymore after that experience. I went to school.
Okay, absolutely. So you did avoid the question. Were you
I
booed up at
did.
school? No, no, no. Were you booed up at
No,
school?
Oh, boot up at school. Well,
Oh, you want to talk
okay.
about them?
No, I'm trying to think. Was I booed up? I did get booed up at school towards
Okay,
the
yeah.
end. Towards the end, like the first, first couple of years, it was just like, oh my God, I'm in the school with dudes, because I went to all girls school,
girls. Yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
I was not used to being around so many men, dudes, boys,
Mhm.
guys, young men. Um, all the time. And so it was a little bit overwhelming. So, sometimes when you get so overwhelmed, you can't really, you like, I
Right.
don't know who to, which,
Mhm.
and
Which
so,
one? Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
I was just like,
okay.
yeah, I couldn't make a decision.
It's
I hear
overwhelmed.
you.
So many to choose from. Okay, I got you.
So many.
Okay.
But I did have a steady boyfriend or two in school, and
Were there overlapping? Like, was there any
no,
This
overlapping?
guy.
they didn't overlap. I was never that girl. That wasn't my
I'm just
personality.
asking. You
Tell
know,
him,
it's in the
Shareen. Tell him.
past. You
Yeah,
can
I
tell the
was never
truth.
that girl. That's not my
Okay.
personality type. Like I'm a single one person at a time person. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So,
Understand.
yeah. So I dated one of our we had. I'm trying to remember. Were we a D1 basketball team? I
Yes.
cannot. We were,
Yes.
and
Still is.
the point guard. Yeah, the point. I dated the point guard of our basketball team for a long time. I actually thought I was gonna marry him, but then he broke my heart.
Mm,
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 Womp,
mm.
womp, womp. And I had to move on. Uh,
It's all right. He missed out. He missed out. He missed
oh, he missed out big time. Big
absolutely.
out.
Okay. So now you are working with the school. You have you're working on your masters, have the masters, and now you create this program. So now, where does your education and your experience lead you? Because now you have this need to help and to be within the community, but also you made these connections. So do you say, hey, I'm going to be a therapist, I'm going to work on my doctorate, or am I going to use these connections and see where it leads me?
Mhm.
What did you do at that point?
I did decide to use my connections to see where it led me.
Mhm.
Because when I was getting my master's, I had to do like a residency at the hospital that was on the campus there for my social work.
Mhm.
Because I was thinking of, becoming a licensed social worker.
LCSW, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so they were like, okay, well, you can do your residency at the hospital and work with the patients and da, da, da. And because I was so young, a lot of the students that were in the class with me, they were much older. They were in their 30s and 40s, and
Mhm.
some were even in their 50s because they were
Mhm.
like real adults. And so,
Real adults
real adults.
with real problems.
Okay.
Right. Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
And so I didn't have the same success that they had with the patients. So when a patient came into the room
Mhm.
and I was sitting there with my 21-year-old self, and they
They like
looking
you
at
don't
me
know
like
nothing.
I'm a grown person.
How you gonna tell me?
How you gonna help me? And
Right.
so they found it difficult to share. They would always ask, like, "Oh, is someone else coming?" And I was like, "No, it's me. I'm here to talk to
How
you.
rude.
Talk to me. Let me know how can I help you? How can I, you know, get you on a path of recovery? Whatever you need. What is it that you're missing?" I mean, they would just stare at me with a blank stare. And so it was at that point that I realized this ain't gonna be it for me.
Mhm.
I was
Right.
like, yeah, nobody respects me in this position or thinks I'm serious. So let me go on and grow up.
Okay.
Mhm. Right. Yeah.
Let me
No,
go on and get grown
that's
somewhere
bars.
and maybe
Mhm.
revisit this at a later time because it just wasn't working. So I did finish out my master's program. I did get my master's, but I never found my way back to the profession itself. Although I do feel like within my career and being a daytime talk television producer, I've been able to kind of counsel and work with couples and people who have struggles in their life and need some direction. I feel like that was a part of making me a successful daytime talk producer because I understood a lot of people's pain and I really naturally and authentically wanted to help them. And so I think guests who would come on the shows that I worked on, they really felt that true connection with me. And it made it easier for me to, one, connect with them, and two, to basically convince them to share their stories on our shows. And so in turn, that made me a successful producer and as being known as somebody who could deliver the goods, who could bring a plus guest to, and that was an old term we used to use back in the day. Oh, you got those A plus 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 guests that would come on and just share all the intimate details of their lives and go deep and sometimes go crazy. We had some of those too. Like,
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm gonna beat your butt.
Absolutely. So crazy question. So now you transitioned of using your network and everything, and you said you were a television producer. Well, how did you get into the role? Tell us about your transition into your first role. Yeah.
Okay. So so as I made the connections within the entertainment business, and I talk about this story very detailed in my book, I share how I somehow became friends with one of the lead singers in SWV, Lily Lyons. And so we would hang out all the time. And
you used to babysit her kids?
Yes.
I seen her kids. Listen, I used to work at Greensboro Coliseum, and I was looking at them. I thought I was going to get a rap on, and the kids just ran right in there. I was like, "Who's all these?" Because they was performing. They was performing, and I was like, they was coming out. I was like, "Oh, I want the little short." She the shortest, and I was like, "Wait a minute." Was it? Oh, damn! She got.
And the kid was like,
yeah, it was
like she got so many kids too.
Well,
that's a lot.
Well, they might have had friends with them, but when they ran just to her, I was like, oh, because I was literally walking to her. I had the little Janet Jackson control headset on, and I had the green event staff. I was the one that kind of worked the backstage, and I was like, I'm gonna get my Mac on, and I said, oh, this is what's happening. Nah, and that's why I say God be talking to me. Could be like, that ain't for you. yeah, that ain't for you.
I can't.
And I was like,
I can't.
But go ahead. I apologize. You became friends with Lily.
Yeah, we became friends, and we were hanging out a lot. And then they had left their old management, and they had signed to Flava Unit Records, which was owned by Shaquem Caprer. And so I would be around the offices a lot because I was hanging around them. And they were getting ready, they were planning their tour, and their road manager at the time, Blue Williams, who managed oh my gosh, Big Boy, Andre. What's the name of the group? Lord have mercy. It's all I'm getting old. Outkast.
Okay. Big Boy Andre. Okay, I got you.
Yes. So he became their manager. But anyway, he was like, would you like to come on tour with us and work with us and help us kind of be an assistant to the group and help us with all things? And I was like, I'm already with them all the time. So yes.
You talking about you as an assistant to Outkast?
No, to SWV.
To Lily. To SWV.
Oh, Lily. And
right.
Yeah. Okay, I got lost.
But doesn't the production, doesn't that require like cameras and all of that? Like, how did you even know how to do all that? Or at this time, are you just managing?
when I went on tour with the group, I wasn't doing any of that.
It
I
was
just
just managing. Gotcha,
assistant.
gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just went on as an assistant. So that's how I met Queen Latifah. And then we became kind of friends. We had a lot of mutual friends. Her executive assistant at the time, who is now the chief of staff for her, was my roommate. So I was always around. Like I said, back then, people would be like, yeah,
yeah.
come to my house for dinner. I would go over to her house, hang out. I'd see her at the studio. I'd see her at work, that kind of thing. And then she got her first television talk show, the Queen Latifah
People
show.
show. Correct.
Yeah.
And she was like, do you want to work on the show? She was like, we're interviewing, go to the city and, meet with the executive producer, who was Kathy Chermel at the time, and talk to her and see if it's something you want to do. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know anything about television. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what to do, but I'm gonna figure it out. And I've
I'ma
always
learn, right.
yeah, I've always, like I said, I've always had that personality type of just like, if I'm gonna do something, I'm just gonna do it and I'm gonna figure it out as I go. And I'm gonna keep on learning and keep on growing. That's which I say in my book all the time too. Keep going, keep growing.
Keep
Absolutely.
going, keep going.
Yeah, so
Wait,
that's how I got into television. Then once I got into the television part of things and that type of production, I really enjoyed that arena of entertainment, and I pretty much stayed there after that.
okay. So, did anybody ever mention to you that you really favor Queen Latifah's mother? Like,
Really? You
yeah,
see
like if you look at her,
that?
yeah, like if you look at her mother, and like you could, like if you put Queen Latifah next to her mother and then put you there, and they say, well, which one is the daughter?
Well,
They probably would pick you.
see that because I guess I've been around, I
Yeah,
was around them. I don't see that, but thank you very much. That's a compliment because Miss
absolutely.
Rita, she was a gem. She was everybody's mom. She wasn't Queen Latifah's mom only. She
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
Mrs. O was everybody's mom, and she cared about everybody who was around her daughter and helping her
Yeah.
daughter take care of her daughter. So we miss her. She was very sweet, and she was a sweet woman. I'm happy I got the chance to get to know her.
Absolutely.
So during this time when this all happened, did you know that they were who they were at this time? Like, that you were part of this movement that was happening? Did you realize that, or you just think, oh, we're cool, we're just hanging out, we're just making things happen?
No, I knew exactly who. I knew they were big at the time. I was like,
Absolutely. Late
SWV is a
90s.
huge group in the 90s. They were doing their thing. They were selling out shows. They had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
hit songs on the radio. And we were around other artists at the time too. Like we were around a lot of the bad boy artists at the time. And it was like there was this townhomes in New Jersey where everybody lived who kind of worked in the industry, and it just seemed like everybody lived there, so you would see everybody
Okay.
all the time. And so it was just like this whole arena of entertainers and artists who were like friends and neighbors, and or were part of the same management group, because there was a
Mm-hmm.
time that Flava Unit had so many great artists
They
under their
did.
belt. They had the Fugees, they had Mary J. Blige, they had
Mm-hmm.
Monifa, they had
Yeah.
Total, SWV. They had
Shaheem.
yeah, they had
Yeah,
so many major artists under their belt at one time. So we were around that kind of crowd of people always. So yeah, I understood the gravity of like who everybody was. Like everybody was a major artist and they were doing big things for the 90s. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm here.
okay. So, but this is my personal opinion.
Okay.
What do you feel happened? Whereas I believe that Flavor Unit, they actually dropped the ball. Like they were on the cusp of being the premier group. Like Bad Boy, like they were all jockeying for position, because you're talking about mid 90s to late 90s, and Bad Boy wasn't the thing. They were taking the reins because Biggie and Mace, they were ascending. However, Naughty by Nature was already there prior to Biggie getting there.
Mhm.
KG shot.
Nature, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, so yeah, all of them were already there prior to Bad Boy because Bad Boy was really Uptown
Right.
Records. So
Right.
now, you know, Flavor Unit and Latifah, I felt like they really dropped the ball because I was like, y'all had Young Z, you had the Fugees, you had Singing Group, you had what's the Rotten Rascals. They had so many different artists that they could have catapulted, and it seemed like it was infighting or whatever. But I want to ask you because you were there before I say something like, oh no, that wasn't it. This was it. What happened? Whereas, because you were at the epicenter of that during that time.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think that they dropped the ball. I just think that they took another direction. I think
Okay.
because Queen Latifah was their core base, she was the principal artist, she was the principal owner, she was Flavor Unit, per se. And I think because she was interested in doing other avenues of entertainment, she aspired to be a movie star, a TV producer, she had her own TV show. She did a lot of things. She was the first of women in hip hop to do a lot of things for the first time. If you think about it, she had her own TV show, Living Single, which was a huge hit and a huge
Fringe bit. Fringe stole it. Oh, I want to say that. I didn't like that. Yeah. Fringe bit their whole style and made. All right, go ahead. Keep a little personal.
But she was the first to do that, and that was a huge hit. And then she went on to do major movies. She was in Chicago. She did Broadway shows. Like, she kind of broke the ceiling, for a lot of the culture, and especially for women who were coming out of hip hop as a rapper. You never saw anything like that. So I think because her aspirations and her dreams were so huge, they just kind of took the rein into going in that direction. And so it wasn't, the music was key, but it wasn't the principal thing anymore. It was like, let's get into film.
She was evolving, and they still wanted only music, and she was evolving into other things.
Yeah, and so the company basically evolved into those things that she was interested in, which was film and television, because they're still doing film and television today. You know what I mean? So, bravo to them.
Smart pivot, yes,
and
absolutely.
Thank you for saying that, because you just sparked something else in my brain for another company who did exactly what you just said. And that movie, it was about Jordan and Sonny Vaccaro. So Nike, well, back in the day in the 80s, Converse had a lock on the NBA. So Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, all the top players went with Converse. Only one superstar didn't have Converse, and that was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which had Adidas. Everybody else, Nike put all their eggs in one basket, which was Michael Jordan. And they said, we're not going to do the Converse thing, which everyone was saying. We got to get a roster of players and everything. And they said, nope, we're going to get one and focus on this one player and have our company bank on this one player. And so when you were just speaking and saying that, I said, they were Nike. Well, they just did the Nike thing. We're going to follow her and how big her star. And you're right. She went on to get Oscars, Grammys, and all types of things. So
it was a smart move.
It was a smart move. But I looked at all those other artists because I'm originally from New Jersey. So I was like, dang, like Rock Rascals, I played ball against them. Like even Redman's younger brother, Omar. I'm looking at him like, oh, y'all had groups. And I was like, and they were like, KG, Shock, and then Naughty by Nature. I look at them, and I always say to them, like, hey, fam, Wu-Tang came over and stole your whole sauce, created a label. They stole their whole sauce. But I'm glad that Raekwon said that. Like, we looked at people from Jersey, see what they do, and did that. And I was like, thank you for saying it, because I saw it. You know, when you
Yeah.
had the Naughty Store and everything, and then Wu-Tang started labeling and merchandising and things of that nature. So I
Yeah.
understand. So now get back to you. You are this producer. You up here, you know what I mean, hanging with Lily, hanging with some peoples and everything. And now, okay, you like, wait a minute. I'm kind of good at this because why? When I put my flavor in it, you know, things happen. So now you become the go-getter, the go-to person because, you know, obviously you have these relationships. So now having these relationships, what was the step of saying, I want to be producing? Because number one, you are a Black/Latino woman, and now you're in the producing field, whereas now there's real ceilings. You know, rap, you could go as far as you can. They try to put a ceiling on female rappers in rap genre. Now you're going in TV entertainment, being a Black and Latino woman.
Yeah.
Tell me about your ascension and the barriers you had to break to get to become the producer you are.
Well, back then too, there wasn't a lot of women of color in
Nope.
the industry at all. And so I gravitated to anytime I met an executive who was a woman of color, I gravitated to that woman and hung on to her for dear life because no, for real.
Absolutely.
No, I believe
All,
it.
all two of
Yeah.
them. Like I'm thinking, like what? All two of them? Okay.
Yeah.
You're right, exactly. So,
Okay.
and one woman was Evelyn Brooks, who at the time when I first met her, she was a senior producer, and then she went on to be a supervising producer for the Tyra Banks Show.
Thanks.
And
Yeah.
then she became an executive producer. And so I made sure to get up under her wing just to kind of learn. And first of all, we became very good friends. We're like sisters today. But I wanted to learn everything I could from her. And I also wanted to kind of see, like, how do you navigate in this industry, in this business that I was very unfamiliar with? Because she had a background in news. She was a news anchor in Ohio, and she was on television as a host, which was huge as a Black woman being on a syndicated show, back in the day, like you didn't see many of those either. So I kind of just took under anyone's wing that I could and kind of learn from them. Bo Banks was another TV executive from Telepicture that I just would sit with her and ask her questions and things all the time, and then just figured out how I could use the information they would give me to navigate my own personal career and get in those rooms where you didn't see a lot of us. So, yeah, I've always been a person of relationships and always thought that relationships were very important. Good relationships were very important to succeed in any industry that you work in. And that's really been the key for me, is to, have those relationships, maintain them, and really just get mentors, people who have been there, done that, and who you could look up to and listen to and get advice to, because there's no point of being envious or jealous of somebody who's done something you want to do, but you turn that perspective around and look at them as the blueprint. They are the blueprint. They have the formula. They have already done everything you want to do or where you want to be. So why not use what they've done to help you do what you want to do? And so, yeah. And so I think that's the most important thing is, don't be afraid to approach people and get advice and information from them because you feel envious or jealous of what they're doing. So you're like, nah, I don't talk to them.
That's
Yeah,
You know
no,
what
you
I
can't.
mean?
No,
No, that
you
sounds
can't do that.
awesome.
Hey,
Because
you know,
like honestly, she just said, it's almost like I heard what you said, and it's like in my mind, the word envious. It's like you're envious, so you're going to hate on someone that you should be learning from.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, let's go ahead, Jay. I apologize.
Yeah, no, because I was looking, and I'm gonna keep resorting back to your book because you were saying that there's a lot of opportunities that you were able to get, and it almost seemed seamless, in the book, because it was like when this would end, this opportunity came, and then this went in, this opportunity came, and you worked with Harpo, you worked with Steve Harvey, you worked in all these places that people take years, to get to. These doors opened up to you, and you talk in the book a lot about faith and about, relying on, I don't know if it's discernment or intuition or whatever. So how big of a part did that play with you getting these opportunities? Is it because of your humbleness? Was it because of your, willingness to learn? Kind of give me your perspective on
Yes.
that.
I'm glad you asked that question because, again, back to the relationships and me always trying to be authentic to who I am. And I think people can really see that, and people will connect with you when you're authentically yourself. And I've always been a person who wants to help people. I love people. And, and I love to see people succeed. I don't want to just succeed. Nobody just wants to be at the top by themselves. I want all my friends to be there so we can all
Right.
live, we can all hang,
Bars.
we can all go.
Yeah.
That's the fun. That's when it's fun, not when you're there by
Right.
yourself. And so for me, a friend of mine gave me this advice years ago. She's a good friend of mine. Her name is Ricarda Lacey. She said, never work for the job that you have, work for the job that you want to
If you
get.
won't.
That you want
Bars.
to get. And
Yes.
so when I think about that, I think about just keeping myself in a place where I'm always of service to people in any workspace. And I try not to think of jobs as jobs, job. Like, this is my
Yeah.
lifestyle. This is something I
Mm.
live. This is something I
Mm-hmm.
so it's not, I don't go to an office for 9 to 5. It is my lifestyle, the way that I live. So when people see me and they meet me in the workplace, I do show my genuine self. Like, I try to be of service of people. How can I help you? What do you need? What can I
Right.
give you? Do you need help making that better? Da, 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 da. Even off hours, during the weekends, like, we work in an industry where there is no off. There's no off. And like I said, it is a
Yeah.
lifestyle. So if you choose to work in entertainment, it becomes your lifestyle. You are constantly I'm doing this podcast with you guys right now. This is a part of my lifestyle. It is Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think when you're that type of person, other people see the light in you, see that the way that your work ethic is, and how you want to always be of service and help people, and they
Right.
gravitate to that. And I talk about this story, you going back to what you were saying, it seems seamless from job to job to job, because even with Steve Harvey, when
Yeah.
we were working in Chicago and that show was ending, he just asked me to come with him to LA to work. He was like, I really like you. I like your energy. Da, da, da. You want to come to LA and work on my show in LA? And I was just like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like me.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I was like, who, me? And it just happened naturally like that. And I think, because I've always been a person who's been helpful in that way, I think when you're a giver, things are given to you. And I've never been like a gatekeeper. I've always tried to help
Right.
with
Bars.
jobs. Like, oh,
Yeah.
this show is hiring. I know somebody who could help you get on that show. Here you go. Let me send your resume. Take this
But
job. All of those things tie back to opening doors for yourself. When you are of
right.
service to
Mm.
other people, things will become available to you because you don't hold on to things.
But can some people look at that as like? Can some people look at it as, oh, you're just trying to kiss up to get to the other place, or you're trying to be, could you talk about a little about that in the book too, about, just your family and kind of overlooking things and overlooking your own feelings. And like you said, I might not want to help you, but, I'm going to do it because of this. Like, the reason I'm saying all that is, do people look at, can you understand what I'm saying? Like, do you,
Yeah, people pleasing, because
people pleasing?
there's a very, and I talk about that too. There's a very fine line between being a people pleaser and being kind. It's two different things, right? You can be kind, but you also can lean right on over to being a people pleaser because you are so kind. So you have to be careful about, you know, what you are doing and how you're doing it. And this is something I've just learned for myself, because I was the ultimate people pleaser, because I just like everybody to be happy. I want to
Happy, yeah,
help.
no conflict, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want any problems with anybody. And so I've recently just, you know, started uncovering how did I become such a massive people pleaser. And that's how I discovered, like, it's a very fine line. And one thing that's an indicator for me when you're leaning too much over into the people pleasing is paying attention to your body and what you are feeling, because emotions give you information. That's what emotions are there for.
Bars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Emotions give you information, and they are a targeted indicator of what is happening to you. And when you start saying yes to things or doing things and you start to feel that little icky feeling inside, something is wrong. And that's a very, like, tangible way to know, like,
Intuitiveness. Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah.
you sit
And
back,
where it is in your body too that you feel
where
that. They
it
say
is, you
pay
know,
attention to why am I feeling it in my stomach? Why am I feeling it, in my
correct.
head? And all of that makes a difference too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's when you need to sit back and ask yourself, get curious, start asking yourself a lot of questions. Why am I feeling this way? What is this making me think about? What is this bringing up inside of me? And once you start getting curious about the way these emotions are kind of overtaking you, you'll start to uncover, you know, what it is that you need to do. It will, your own
Right.
emotions will tell you what you need to do to kind of get out of that. So that's what I tell people too now. Like, it's something I practice for myself. Pay attention to your emotions. Pay attention to what's happening when you say something, when you do something.
Right.
How does that
Yes.
make you feel? That will be the indicator for the next step of what you need to do to auto correct that. And so that's how I've been auto correcting myself from being a people pleaser to still staying in my lane of being kind, because I'm always going to want to help people. I'm always going to want to love
Yeah.
on people and be there for people. So that's just a part of my DNA, you know, my human
Yeah.
nature.
Okay.
So
I have a question.
yeah,
Because you stated that you left the East Coast and went to the West Coast
yeah.
to pursue a opportunity. However, does that play a part in like your family life? Because if you have a family, getting up and moving is not so easy. It becomes cumbersome.
Yeah.
And so how does that affect, your work-life balance,
Relationships.
your
Hmm.
relationships and things that you could do? Because let's say if you were married, have children, and because we didn't speak on anything of that nature. So do you have children? Are you married?
I'm not married and I don't have children.
Okay.
Um, and it is hard to have relationships when when you are moving back, because you go wherever the work is. And
Correct.
sometimes the work was in New York, sometimes it was in Chicago, sometimes it's in LA, and you have to find somebody who would be happy with that.
Understanding.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Who would be okay with being able to move. And also to, you know, they have to have that, they have to be able to adapt and kind of pivot their own, you know, professional desires and career moves by coming along with you. Like, can they make a business in whatever area that you're moving to or living with? And
Right.
so it's challenging, you know, to be in relationship when you're in this industry, because the industry is so demanding.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
relationships are hard anywhere.
In general. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
then you add that to that.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
We ain't going there. She fine. She got the fine privileges, that you get. Like, if you ain't fine, you got to deal with some things. But when you fine, you be like, look, I'll be back. You better be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, when you fine, you got those things.
That's
You know,
hilarious.
You better be back, cause
yeah,
I
yeah, but,
was gonna use that one day. I'm
yeah,
fine. When I get back, you better be here.
yeah, absolutely. And the way I left you too. Absolutely. So now my question, did you ever have aspirations to have a family and saying, well, I want to have children, but did the opportunity say, I don't want to have this lifestyle because that will actually limit what you can do? Or you was like, I've actually met some women that I ain't never gonna have kids. My sisters and brothers, they got all the kids, and I just like being an auntie. Like, what was your partake on that?
I always thought actually I would be a mother because I feel like I'm naturally a nurturer in some ways. So I always thought I would be a mother. It just never happened for me in that way. It just didn't happen. And I've had very long-term relationships. I've been married before. It didn't happen for me. And I never pursued the idea of like in vitro or a surrogate,
Right.
thing like that.
Yeah.
It just wasn't part of my thought process of being a mother like that. Those things didn't connect for me. And so I was always around kids because I have a huge family.
Correct.
And I think because I was always around kids, I never felt like I missed out on something because
Gotcha.
yeah.
I got
And
it. You got it. I always say when pretty people don't have kids, it's almost like guys like now you gotta make another one of you now. But don't get with nobody ugly now. Let me say that because
Oh
what I mean?
God, this guy.
Yeah.
I have a lot of siblings, and they all have kids, and
But
all
we
my
I know what's better. Your mama and dad only had one of you. See, you special. See, you know what I mean. So they made the ingredients. See, sometimes I make cookies and then
I never saw it that way. That's an interesting point. There's only one.
Yes, there's only one of
I
you.
know I'm one of one. I do know
Yes.
that. But when it comes to my parents, that's interesting. I never thought about that way. Like I'm the only one they made together. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah.
and also
I didn't have kids.
but does it happen to do with your childhood and some of those issues that you think kind of subliminally that may have creeped up because of all of the trauma that it was, what you read the book, you'll find all that out, and all of those things. Do you think subliminally some of those things you don't even know consciously that you're making the decision, but you do?
Yeah, I think for me, if I'm gonna be really honest here, I think the majority of my life I've been very selfish. Like I cared.
Nothing wrong with it. Yeah,
I've been
nothing
very
wrong with it.
selfish,
there.
and I just cared about my career and
I love it.
the relationships I was in.
Some you got to. You
Yeah,
have to be to get what you want. You have to be sometimes. You really do.
yeah, I don't think I just ever was like, oh my gosh, I need to get a kid. Like never, it just never came over me like that. Some women have some really great friends and sisters, sorority sisters, when I say sisters, who they just can't wait to have kids, and they're trying to have kids, and some of them have struggles having kids, but they still look after it. And I applaud them because that's hard, but they're after it. I just never had that in me.
Yeah.
I got you.
I
And
understand that.
it's crazy that you said that because my wife said the same thing. Like I was career driven. I wasn't thinking that. I said, I know you love me because if you don't know, I got a huge head. So, so anybody who looked at me and said, I have a future with him, they got to really be committed because you dealing with this. This is a whole nother monster. But being that you said this, you actually mentioned that you were married. What happened in do you want to talk about that? Like, you're no longer married. Okay.
Yeah. It ran its course. I was with my ex husband for I think a total was like 17 years. We were like
whoa.
We were together
17 years? No, after like 12, you gotta stay together. Like y'all just living together. That's a career.
We dated like for 5, and then we were married for 11. So maybe that's like 16 years. But anyway, it just got to a place where it just wasn't. We were on 2 different paths.
Was the industry too? If I could ask that, was he in the industry too? And
He kind of, yeah, he did some industry work. He was a musician. He produced like some shows. He was a tailor. He loved fashion, so he did a lot of tailoring, stuff like that. So he was around industry people, and he was in the industry as well, I would say.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
So not a problem. But I'm just thinking like I'm nervous because
Why
my
are you
wife got
nervous?
no, because my listen,
Your wife getting ready to leave you? Something what's happening?
no. That would that's not a problem. Like that's not scary to me. My scary part is like she was like, look, I put too much time in you, get you kind of manageable. So I'm just worrying about I might come up missing. You know what I mean? Like divorce ain't the option. She might kill me. That's the problem. I'm
No,
like that's the problem. I'm like, what?
you
Divorce?
crazy.
Put murder charges on your wife. Don't do that.
No,
Don't
she's
do
crazy
that. Now
like
you
that.
know.
She different. But that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
like me,
Yeah.
I can look at you and be flirting, but like, ain't nothing gonna happen because I
Right.
gotta deal with her. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, no, I'm really married, not fake. I'm really married, but at the same time, look, I'm married. I ain't blind. You know what I mean? That's what I tell people. Like, I was like, wait a minute,
Oh
that lady fine.
Lord, help
You know
him,
what I'm saying?
help
And then
him,
you said
help
about
him.
17 years. I'm like, wait
All
a
right.
minute.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
it happens, you know.
absolutely.
It happens,
But
and you
But
gotta know when to roll and know when to fold.
I don't know. He might
Know
double
when
back
to
and look
walk
at you at
away,
this. Look at
know
you. I'm
when
like
to
this. Hold
run.
on. He ain't spin the block because I'm just out. I'm just looking at you. I'm like, he ain't gonna spin the block because I'm looking like, all right.
All right,
You know what I'm saying? Like, look,
this
you
guy.
know what I mean? Like, I'm
All
seeing
right,
where
what
you.
next? What you
this
got
guy,
next? What
this
you got
guy.
next? What you got next?
Like, yeah. All right,
Gotta help. You gotta
okay.
help.
Now, this part of the show that we have what we call this or that. All right. So
Okay.
for me, what I do is I'm giving you two choices. Right.
Okay.
My objective is to get you the questions so difficult that you got to say both. All right. So there's four options. You can say one, the other. You can say both, which I want you to do, or you can say neither. Okay. So I'm gonna give you the easy one.
So this
Oatmeal.
is a game. This is a
Yeah.
game.
This is a
This
game.
is a
This is a
game.
game.
This
Oh,
is a
look,
game.
All right.
Yes.
this is a game.
This is
We're
a game.
heading into game territory.
Game
Yes.
territory. Absolutely. Oh, our game show. You could actually, co-rate, tell me my pointers afterwards. Like, no, you should do the game show this way. All right, because you're a producer. So now think about this. Grits or oatmeal?
Grits.
Okay. See, easy, right? Grits or
Yeah.
oatmeal. All right. Now I'm getting a little, they're gonna get harder and easier. Okay. LeBron or Jordan?
Ooh. You know, back in the day, MJ was kind of, he loved to be around
Think about where you're
musical
at.
and performances and stuff. So I'm gonna say MJ because
Oh, that's
Yeah.
bold in LA.
yeah,
That's bold.
I'm gonna say MJ because I've been around MJ. I had the privilege to kind of be around him a few times. Not in that
I
way to get
know.
your mind together, get your
No,
There you go.
no, because he allowed
We were
a
in
life
the
there. Yeah.
same parties and restaurants and
Yes.
things like
Please
that.
be clear. Thank you.
Yes,
I
and
wouldn't judge you. I wouldn't judge you because if I was around Oprah, best believe I'm shooting her the line like, What is it called? Brother husbands that they doing out in Utah? Brother husbands, Dave
You
Chappelle,
stupid.
me, like we all lined up for. But go ahead. All right, got you. So, go ahead.
and I'm just,
I gotta go.
I got the opportunity to see him in a different light and also just watch some of his like major career highlights, and they've just been so extraordinary. And
Yeah.
I just always thought he was just like magical when he was on that court. So,
I'm
and I watched
really
basketball back then, entertainment and sports really collided so strong. Like we were always at every all-star game. One of our artists, somebody was performing something. So
Gotcha.
me back then, sports was
Mhm.
like a part of the entertainment industry, and like a lot of, I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to name names, but there were a
drop,
lot
That's
drop the names. Drop the
there
names.
were a lot of athletes who were groupies. They wanted to be with the R&B singer diva.
Yeah. Of
Mm.
course.
They
Who
Yes.
is
were.
it? For real?
Yes.
Which one?
Yes.
What you
I
mean?
They,
don't
but
say.
you got
I,
that now. Did you see?
but
There were entertainers that were married to R&B and
Mhm.
football players that married.
look
You
at
know,
Eddie
Eddie
George.
George. We ain't gonna say that, right? No, because that was just
right?
like that's
Eddie
like you said.
George.
I didn't
Right,
say.
right,
I just said, look at them. They're
right.
still looking at.
And they still
Mm-hmm.
together. Yes,
They still
they are.
together,
Yeah,
Yes, they are.
and
Yes,
they
they are.
but back
still
then that was very popular for
Yes,
right.
athletes to want to be with somebody in the music.
entertainers.
And
Yes,
so there were a lot of events and things and gatherings where those two worlds would collide. So
gotcha.
Absolutely. Okay,
yeah.
All
okay.
right.
Keep on going. All right. Sally Jesse Raphael
Uh-huh.
or Phil Donahue.
Mm.
Oh, Sally Jesse. I mean, come
Sally,
on,
I
Sally.
love Sally Jesse. I
Sally,
did too.
yes. I'm gonna go with Sally. She was
Yes.
red glasses. When she would push those red
Yes.
glasses,
Okay.
I'm in.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay.
She did. She did.
Jenny Jones or Maury Povich.
Oh my
Mm.
gosh. Okay, Maury Povich is like a part of my NBC Universal family. So
I
I'm
went to
going to
Maury.
Maury Povich 1000.
Mm,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
I went to
All right.
Maury. I went to
You
Maury
know,
one time. We went to a
Connecticut.
taping in the city. We did.
Yeah, they used to tape
Okay.
at One Penn Plaza, I think it was the address.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then they moved on over to Connecticut studio.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Montel Williams or
Oh,
Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
That's no
Oprah.
brainer.
Look, I told you easy ones
I
and
mean,
hard ones.
Montel was great, but if I have to choose, I mean Oprah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Got
You're
you.
making
Oprah
it
Got you.
easy. Oh, you're making it easy,
Okay.
yo.
Okay. Listen. All
Yeah,
right.
it's Oprah Winfrey.
Okay. Patti LaBelle or Aretha Franklin.
Ooh, now there, that's when you're
Yeah.
gonna get both. That's when you're gonna get both. That's when
Wow.
you're gonna
Okay.
get
Okay.
both.
Okay. No. Let's go
Both.
here.
Yeah.
Lauren Hill or Little Kim.
Mm.
Oh my God. Both of them are like what? Oh my gosh. Are you no, I can't even
No.
both.
Thank you. No, that's what I do. Yeah, see, I told you. See, you got too confident.
90s Lil Kim. 90s
Uh,
Lil Kim though. I'm a
Oh, the
preference.
okay, not a
90s.
90s,
problem.
yeah,
Okay, not a problem.
90s Lil Kim.
Yeah,
I don't know
I love
about
not a
them.
problem.
current Lil
Okay,
Kim,
not a
but
problem.
the 90s Lil Kim, yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my God. Oh. Nisa or Dapper Dan.
That's the same.
Ooh.
That's the same.
They're both stylists, but they're not. She uses some of the
Well,
stuff, but
Dapper Dan created the
Ooh.
and Nisa creates some styles and some looks.
yeah, Misa created styles and looks, but Dapper Dan was like the culture
The
of
original. Yeah.
yeah. That,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
get it. I get it. I get it.
yeah.
One's the root. One's the
Okay,
root.
wait.
One's the
I
branch.
didn't hear.
My girl. I love
Yeah.
her.
Okay. So I want to know, who do you pick though? I gotta hear it.
I said Dapper Dan.
Okay, not a problem. Dapper Dan. Yeah. Because it got muddled a little bit. I was like, oh,
No,
okay.
I said Dapper Dan because
Okay.
he figured out that way to kind of combine hip hop
Yeah.
fashion with high end
High
brands,
fashion.
and
Yeah.
that it took off from there. He was the originator of that. So
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I remember going to 125th Street to get my little pants made with some little
Oh,
stuff
you
on.
have
Your
money.
little Gucci and your
You
little.
have money. Oh, you have money.
A long time. I've been working a long time.
Oh yeah, you have money. Okay, let's go. Nas or Jay-Z.
Oh my God, Nas.
Ooh,
There we go. I like
he's
what
a
you're doing.
poet.
I like what you're.
He's a
I like.
poet. He's a lyricist.
Yes,
He
yes,
is
Absolutely.
he is.
Absolutely.
lyricist. Like,
Yes, he
Absolutely.
is.
oh,
Absolutely.
Love Nas.
Okay. Whoopi Goldberg.
to a New Yorker. You talking to
Yeah,
a New
absolutely. Look, Whoopi Goldberg or Michelle Obama.
for what?
Forever. I don't want to put parameters on
What are
it.
we doing with them?
I'm not putting any parameters on them.
That's
Okay,
like
let's
two
see.
totally. You went.
I know. I'm like,
Yep. That's what makes it hard. Because they both help women.
yes, but ooh, that's so hard because I do love Whoopi Goldberg. I remember watching her one woman show back in the day, and when
Yes,
she did that,
that was
I
the.
don't think her girl was
Yeah.
Becky. But when she put that white T-shirt on her head,
Her
towel
head,
on her
yes,
head,
yes,
and
she did.
I could not stop looking at that
That was
woman.
the greatest. I remember that. Yeah.
And so
I was
Whoopi Goldberg just brings me back to my childhood and those sentiments. So I have like an infinity for Whoopi Goldberg for that way. Michelle Obama, she's new. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
she's a new woman to kind of
Like
admire.
Jordan and LeBron. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
but Whoopi Goldberg is like a legend. She has been, I feel like, in my life since I was a kid.
Got
You
it.
know what I mean? So it's just
Mhm.
different in that
So
way.
you are picking Whoopi.
I'm gonna pick Whoopi.
Okay, all right. God, I don't listen. I told you. All right,
Because
I'm gonna give
Whoopi
you
got
some.
some years. You know what I mean? He's invested some years.
Got you.
Yeah.
The
Michelle
New
just
York,
got here.
yeah. The New York Giants or the New York Jets.
Oh my God, the New York Giants.
Okay, you was in Long Island. I wasn't sure because Jets was
Yeah,
up there. All right,
no, the Giants. I knew a lot of Giants players.
okay. Oh
And
God.
yeah.
That's my favorite team. All right, we ain't got to do that.
Moving
All right.
on.
Moving on.
Okay.
Moving on.
Hold on, did I touch
I'll
the
drink
nerve?
I'll drink to
Oh,
that.
I got another segment up in here.
My water. It's only
Yeah.
1:00 here in LA, so let me sip my water.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I'm
All
gonna
right, who
move
you got?
on.
Who you got?
But I like that. Okay, move on. Okay, um, okay. The New York Knicks or the Brooklyn Nets?
The New York Knicks.
New York Knicks. Okay,
I
all
feel like
right.
the Brooklyn
I bet
Nets
Jenna hold on.
are now, but everything goes back to like the investment. And I feel like New York Knicks had it going on.
Yeah,
Like
I got you.
for
I'm
years.
gonna hit you with the last two, but
Okay.
this last one, not no last two, but this one really stumps people. I'm gonna change what one was. It was too difficult.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it a little
I'm
easier.
ready for you. I'm ready for you.
Nikki Giovanni or
Oh,
Toni Morrison?
Giovanni.
Gotcha. That my Angelo and nigga, that was hard, so I made it a little easier.
Yeah. I mean, I love Toni Morrison. She was one of the first like women that I loved her trilogy of stories and her books and stuff, that the way she would do it. So I love her books. But Nikki Giovanni, her writing, like when I was in
Absolutely.
school, man, she was
Absolutely.
something else.
That's how I feel about James Baldwin. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
take them out
Yeah.
because sometimes I feel some kind of way when people pick
Yeah.
other than James Baldwin because I'm judging secretly. So like,
We
hold on, what? You ain't pick
do
James
not
Baldwin?
judge.
You know, like Langston Hughes or James Baldwin. It was like Langston Hughes. I'm like, wait, over James Baldwin? It's like, but in my last one, Spike or Tyler Perry?
Spike Lee.
Ooh, okay.
That wasn't even.
Yeah. I
It
got
was
you.
the
No, because listen,
yeah.
some people like I don't want to mess up my political connection, so they was like both. But you're not gonna.
I mean,
No,
first
we
of
like
all,
we like what we like. Number one,
yeah,
cool.
I'm Spike Lee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. So that
All
I love
right.
both of them, but just like as I like to say, chocolate and vanilla. I love both ice creams, but I eat chocolate straight with nothing with it. Vanilla, I have apple pie with it. I
Let
might
me
have
see
cake with it.
how that tracks in the explanation, but okay.
Yeah. No, I don't have to have nothing with chocolate, but vanilla, I
Nothing.
gotta have apple pie or something with vanilla. So that's why I was like, I was like,
I can't.
oh God, I like the way we. Oh God, I just put on. I'm late like a mug to the party.
Yeah, you was a
Oh
little
wow.
behind. Yeah, I was
No,
like,
don't worry about it. I take butter pecan too. Don't worry about it.
You
Yeah,
crazy.
better leave me, lady.
So what I want to do
dangerous.
before you get off of here, I do have a couple more questions. I do want to ask about your book before we head you out here and some more endeavors that you have. But your book here, Candy's Girl, foremost from the beginning, what made you want to write it when you wrote it? And I do have a first answer that one, then I have two more questions, and then
Okay. The reason why I wrote my book, Candy's Girl, The Power of Faith to Conquer Life Storms, is because I, like a lot of other people, have gotten stuck in a way where I feel like I should have gotten further along, or, did more things in my life that I wanted to do. And I felt like I got stuck and I wanted to understand why did that happen to me. So I started to unpack a lot of things in my childhood, and I wanted to write the book to help inspire other people to achieve their dreams, because one thing that I learned about my life, through everything that I've been through, is that I always had the ability to keep going. And I think that is the key to my success. And I'm just talking
Mm-hmm.
about my own personal success. Um,
Mm-hmm.
is that I always was able to just keep going. And sometimes life does not work out the way you plan it or the way you think
Mm-hmm.
it should. And just because life is hard, it doesn't mean that you're having a bad life. You know what I mean?
Right.
Life gets
Right.
hard. But there are things to learn. There are lessons to learn in every struggle and in every event that happens to us in our life. And I wanted to use this book to help inspire people to get curious about their own life and ask the questions for themselves about why you're not in the area of work that you want to be in, or why you're not in the relationship that you think you deserve. How come you haven't gotten there? Start asking yourself more questions and get
Mm-hmm.
curious about yourself. And when you learn about yourself, it's like the doors open up to not only your purpose, but also like it opens up to understanding. You know what I mean? And once
Mm-hmm.
you have understanding, it's like you can maneuver in this world a lot better when you have understanding about who you are and who you're supposed to be.
Yeah,
So
and
that's why I wrote the book.
you do that with your reflections of faith. It's like after every chapter, there's this little thing that asks you some questions, and there's some scriptures in there that make you reflect on, what you just read. And I found myself, I'm answering the questions I do. And so you do have a point, in the book. It makes it interactive because it
Yes.
makes you, have some introspection. There's another part in your book, and you were just talking about your faith and all of that, but it was young in the beginning, like page 5, and
Oh my
it's
gosh.
it's in the scene where you were with your mom
Mhm.
and all that stuff had just happened in the apartment. You're walking out, and you said in the book, when you seen the bodies, you guys got to get the book, laying there. You said, I felt like I had been strong at 5. How do you feel like you had been strong up until that point that you saw that? You said, I felt like I had been strong, you know. But at that, no, because it resonated with me because I'm like, how at 5 years old can you say to yourself, I felt like I was strong and I've been doing good until I saw that. At 5 years old, you were able to think of
Mhm.
that for yourself. What made you think that you were strong, or what made you think that part right there?
Mhm. I think one part of it had to do with the fact that I went to Catholic school the majority of my life, since pre-K all the way up to 12th grade. But during that time, I was in Catholic school, and prayer was a very, very important part of our life. And
Mm-hmm.
so at a very young age, I had learned how to pray and how to speak to God. And I think that one, having something tangible, and I talk about this story in the book, I don't want to give it all
Yeah.
away.
No, I'm
Um,
not. I'm not.
but having that particular statue that I was holding on to, that was a connection to me to God, just that tangible thing. And I think having that helped to keep me calm. And also, I valued the significance of it so much
Yeah.
that I turned my fear into protection. I
Mm.
turned the fear that I had of what was going on around me into, I need to protect this holy thing that means
Mm.
so
Ooh.
much. And so when I turned that around, then basically I was forced to get out of fear
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and go into a different area of protection, of saying like, I can make it through this. Like, and here's how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make it through this. I'm gonna protect this thing. Everything's gonna be fine. There's no way God's gonna leave me now. All of
Yeah.
those things. And that's how I was able to do that. And I think that also translates in life now, today,
Mm-hmm.
when
Right.
you release your fear of whatever you have and know that if you are a person of faith and you believe in God, then you know all things are working for your good, right? So
Yeah.
regardless if there's a failure or something happens, it doesn't matter because it's all working together for your good. So at the end of the day, it can only be good. So everything
Gotcha.
has to be good. There can't be anything that's just going, it's temporary. You know what I mean? If something feels bad or goes wrong, it is all temporary. And so having that mindset when you can
Yeah.
change your perspective to know like everything is all good. And
Yeah.
I say so many things in my regular life that people are like, why do you say that all the time? I'm like, I don't know. I just do. Like all is well. Like when people start complaining or so, I say all is well, which is biblical. You know what I mean? All
Hmm.
is well and all will be well. Like,
Yeah.
and when
That's a
people
good
say
way to
things
look at
to
it.
me, when they disappoint me or things happen and they're saying stuff to me or things didn't work out, I'm like, don't worry, no worries, no worries. And that's also biblical. The Bible says, cast all your cares
Yeah.
unto me, worry for nothing, right?
Hmm.
It's just a
I
part
know.
of
Exactly.
my mindset.
Got you.
So I learned that early on. Okay.
Yes, yes. I have one last question for the book, and then if you have any other question out of this, and then we're gonna head out. But just one more question for me from the book. It was a point in the book where I seen a lot of I don't know, I seen like three things that were happening, and you were the caretaker at the time for one of your friend's mother, right?
Mm,
You were finding your own peace and getting your own solitude, and your father was had his thing, going on in his situation, not feeling well in his sickness. At the time, there's three parallels that are happening at the same time, and in the book where you're helping somebody, you're helping yourself, and then there's somebody needing help, and in all of that you were able to still sustain. So that part of the book in me, when I looked at that, my father's passing, actually his birthday was yesterday and he's passed away.
wow.
But it resonated with me with your father,
Mm,
passing and all of that. You're helping, you're needing help, and
yeah.
you're giving help at the same time. During that time, kind of explain to me kind of what you were feeling about all of those three things that were happening at once.
Yeah. Thank you for asking that question. That's a really good question, and that was a very pivotal point in my life. Um, I left, working for Telepictures. I went to a foreign place to help a friend's mom who had just lost her leg and was struggling. And I found myself being of service to her. And within being of service to her, I didn't know that really it was helping heal me. And it was healing me because it took me away from the grind of the
Right.
everyday work of being in the industry and just working nonstop, especially back then in the early 2000s, late 90s. We
Mm-hmm.
worked nonstop. There was no going home, hardly ever. Um, which is illegal now.
Right.
Uh, don't try this at home, people. Yes, but that whole time period, my father was also dying, and needed me, but I was so afraid to show up for him, but I showed up for somebody else. And
Yeah.
it was in that service to someone else that I started to really be able to just kind of get healing from myself and processing what was happening. And it was a collision of emotions going on at that time in my
Yeah.
life because, like you said, there were so many things happening at one time. But the thing that I do find is that whenever you put yourself in position of service to somebody, it ultimately helps you. It ultimately heals you in some way, regardless of what it is. Um, and I just find that for me, it's still something I struggle with, as you see, like just thinking about not being
Yeah.
there for my dad, but
Yeah.
being there for someone else's parent. It was
Yeah.
it, it was really hard to do that, but I was so terrified of losing another parent. at
Yeah.
that time. And so
Yeah.
I masquerade the fears that I had in by giving service to somebody else. Like I can't leave here because somebody needs me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It gave you like almost an excuse to be like, I need to be here, and you have people to help you, but this person has nobody, so I'm gonna
Correct,
help while I can. Yeah, I definitely
correct,
definitely
correct.
understand all that. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's interesting because I didn't unpack that for a long time till I started writing the book, and that was a real hard chapter to write. Hmm.
All right. That's what I wanted to know. Because I'm just saying, because I dealt with it with my father as well, and his issues with addiction and all those things. And you have like a guilt with it, but you got kind of anger with it, and it's like, but you love them at the same time, and so you're dealing with all these things. So then when they do pass away, and if you haven't said what you needed to say, or you haven't had that amends, you do live with that. So a part of that is getting over. Not allowing that issue, like you said, to either push it down or not allowing it to affect your future decisions and things that you do. So a part of your book, like you said, with healing, same thing to me. A part of this podcast to me is, which is why it's called KROSS BARZ, is, we share these stories, and it's a healing podcast too. You know what I mean? Because we talk about things that we haven't talked about to people. To people like you who we're not even, we don't even talk all the time, or we may not even know who you are. You know what I mean? So that, to me, that makes a difference, with this podcast and other podcasts, is that, you know, a lot of our guests are receptive to what we say, and then we're receptive to what you say. So it's a big old circle, that KROSS BARZ, that common thread that we are share, regardless of your success level and all of that, that helps push us all to, the next level. So I appreciate you saying that. And do you have anything else to ask or add before we head on out today?
I am just thankful that we actually made it to the 90-minute mark, because she was looking at 60 minutes and I said, ain't no way in world that we gonna talk for 60 minutes. And then she was a talker. I was sitting there laughing my butt off like, oh, you think? Oh, you a talker? Oh, okay. You're gonna see how quick 90 minutes is.
Yeah, it's interesting sitting on the other side of this. I'm trying to get used to it because I'm so used to being on the other side of the camera
Yes,
and not
for sure.
being the focal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm happy, and I'm
No,
sitting here just laughing like, yeah, see how quick it goes? Like,
no,
oh
that's
my
great.
God,
I
it's gonna be way more.
appreciate
And we could
it.
still keep going, just being honest. I cut my little segment short. I was like, all right,
Yeah,
now.
but
Yeah, because
we
I
do
was
have.
gonna go into that Giants and that little drink you took. We was gonna go
Oh
back there
Lord,
for
this
a second.
guy.
Because I know
No.
that one. You start fanning a little bit. All right.
I did want to. We talked about the book. Now, before we leave out of here, I know you also have your media company, which is King's Daughters Media. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about that.
Yes, King Sorta Media Company. Basically, I use that company to do like side projects and consulting and help people produce products that they want to put out or content that they want to put out. Um,
What a
I'm
start.
working with I'm working with a company now called 920 Films. They're working on a couple of um, TV shows and also a film project. So
You
Absolutely.
see him?
I'm trying to
Do
get my
you
best
see
shot. I
him?
don't know
He's
which
like,
one. I'm like, yeah, I could be in the show. Like, I could be the janitor in the back. Atmosphere. Like, this is me right there. Like, yeah,
you
I just need
crazy,
a little
crazy,
shot.
crazy.
That's it. I'll get the little one. And you tell me, show up here on Thursday. Right there. Absolutely.
So
Okay. All right.
920 films. Okay. Oh,
Okay.
yes, yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Instagram.
More to
Instagram.
come. I know. I have to get better at Instagram. It's hard when you're busy, like,
yeah,
going to the
I
Instagram
know.
and trying to keep people up to date on all the things. It's
Yes,
for somebody who like me, I'm a one man band, so it's hard to do all of those
yes,
things. But
it is.
know, we out here working, we doing stuff.
What's your Instagram name? Is it just your name? Do you have one? Do you have TikTok?
Yeah, my Instagram is producer girl 4, and
hmm
you put in my name, it should just come up.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, so
Okay.
we out here doing stuff, day by day.
All
We just
right.
gotta keep going, and that's one thing that I talk about in the book too, is to keep growing and to keep going. That's the most important thing. Like, there's a famous quote that I really love so much, and it says, "Hardship." Um, hardship happens to people to bring them to an extraordinary destination. And I believe the author of that quote is C.L. Lewis. And it is so accurate. You know what I mean? Like, people get so nervous when they hit hard times and they just stop. And it's like those hard times, struggling and suffering is meant to push you into success and is meant to bring you to your destiny. So you got to keep going. You have to keep going. That's the key. As hard as it may feel, you just got to keep going.
Things daughter media, absolutely. So I'm actually going to start looking at things because, like I say to our guests, I'm become a supporter. So
Yeah.
any projects and things that you have, absolutely, I'm make sure that I leave a comment, you know, and I'm like, oh, I seen you. Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you're in the Charlotte area, as I like to say, Charlotte metropolitan area, and you post it up there, I'm going to see in person because you know I look better in person. You know what I mean?
You're in New Jersey.
Yeah, no. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, you're in Charlotte.
He's in Charlotte now.
I'm from
Yes,
New Jersey.
yes.
I rep New Jersey. I rep all of Jersey because I love both parts. You know, grew up, raised in Plainfield, went to high school down in Willingboro. So I say North and South, and then you know, best friends from Newark. And it was like, you know, down in North Carolina, I met people from all over Jersey.
Yeah.
And, you know, we friends there. It's like, you know, and I try to lie. I'll be like, no, I'm from North Carolina. I've been down here for so long. I'll be like, no, I'm from North Carolina. Like, no, you're not.
You're not.
I be trying. They be like, yeah, your voice. I'm like, I don't sound it yet. And I go back home. People are like, boy, your voice has changed. And I'm like, man, I still can't get over that.
Country. You still got it. You still got it. All right. Well, you got it. I just want to say thank you, Miss Shareen King, author, CEO, boss lady. Go ahead and give it up for her right now. Now, thank you so much for blessing my podcast.
Yeah, put baddie in there too. She a baddie.
You said baddie.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I am Jay. He's crazy.
Absolutely.
I am Jay Tanae. He is Big O, and this is KROSS BARZ. It's KROSS BARZ, and you can find us on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and X and all of the streaming mediums. Please make sure you connected us with KROSSBARZ.com. Definitely check out our website. We'll see you then. Stay posted. We love y'all. Peace.